He just didn't want to.
You don't, yeah.
I think I lost it.
Oh well.
What did we do?
Oh, no, it's not really.
I know. I don't even know, like.
What did we do with, what's your faces last time this happened? I think
Oh,
that's what we did, was just unplugged it.
we restarted.
I don't think she restarted, did she?
No.
Oh my God, seriously, it's like not today.
Not today, Epson. Not today. Guys, water your plants and pick up your.
I think I lost it.
It sounds like it's overheating. Is that a fan? It's broken.
I think Sandra broke it. No, this is not. Of course.
I don't even see anything.
Of course. Come on in, Morgan. There ain't nothing to see here.
There it is.
I
I don't know what we did.
I think mine disappeared.
Why would someone steal your plant?
I know, but I don't know, but I had it. I showed you the other day, and I haven't been it back since. Also, I did my CBA online like Thursday, like our game day. I just make sure, cause I didn't do it over the weekend. Yeah, but I promise you, I never took mine online. Oh wait.
You didn't put your name on it.
Oh, I did. I put it.
Oh, where do you want it? I'm gonna move you.
Wow.
Just sit right there. We have Dick new seat. This is Isaac Newton. No, this is not Isaac Newton's class. Oh my gosh, it's such. Oh, here we go. Got it. So guys, I'm gonna change your seats in a few minutes, but for now, water your plant, pick up the learning packet, which is right here, and you're gonna put your name, your period, title classification, and then why do we need a classification system on the front? Did you find it?
No, but my name is like huge on it. I've been to everyone.
I think you think someone stole it.
I like you say, because I haven't been back.
Well, I know that you have it, and that you turned in your packet with all your drawings on it, right? Okay. We'll look for it in a little bit if we don't find it.
Because I looked like great. You did all these. You do all this. Because I showed you every day.
I know, I saw it. I saw him. I think this song has a curse word in it.
No, she just said on the tree.
We're gonna fast forward it either way.
What is wrong with Chris? Where's the one with the
Ooh, Losing My Religion. This is a good song. Is there any curse? How can you tell what version it is? Oh my gosh.
Miss, mine has mold on it.
What? Let me see.
What is that?
Oh, it is mold. Oh, look how cool. That's okay. It's a fungus. It's a fungus among us.
What is that? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, no, we're gonna see. Just water him. Don't touch it. Don't touch the fungus. Okay. Devin, did you steal Owen's plant?
Yeah.
Oh,
We did. I haven't to everyone.
Okay. I believe you.
Just kidding.
You found it?
I think that's the one. It's right here.
I knew. You know what? I just know from experience that I pretended like you were my daughter. I was like, yeah, okay, someone stole it, whatever, because I don't feel like talking about it. You just couldn't find it. Oh, he looks beautiful. Yes. We may need to replant him. Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Yeah, rewater him, and then we're going to replant him at the end of class. Hold on one second. The bell just rang. Yes, I'm listening.
You might need to help me too.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we're going to talk about him in a minute. Bring him to your desk. If you think he's dying, bring him to your desk for a minute. Okay, guys, welcome to fourth period. So if you are a virtual learner, you're going to, if you go to the warm-up for today, I'm just underneath today's folder, and you click here, you're going to have an electronic packet, okay? And so when I clicked there, oops, it says the page is not found. Well, that is awesome. That's super exciting. So let me show you again. All right, so at home learners, for some reason that link is not working. So let me show you again. If I'm in Schoology, okay, and you should see this, Unit 4 Taxonomy, right? So this is where we're starting. We're going to start a new unit today. I'll give you guys new seats in just a second. For online learners, you're in right here, you're in week 1, November 10th, right? So this is where we're in levels of classification. Here's the folder we're going to be doing today. And then for the entire Unit 4, for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be doing this Unit 4 learning guide, which is just like the plant packet that you turned in, which will be a major grade for this 9 weeks. If you click on it, there's 2 items in here. The first one down here says Unit 4 learning guide. If you click on it, again, if you're at home, it will automatically make your own copy. Am I recording this? Yeah. It will automatically make your own copy of the Google Doc. This is the same exact packet that the kids have in class, okay? But at home, you're just going to fill it out electronically over the next 2 weeks and submit it to this assignment. In class, they're going to keep it in class so they don't lose it, and they're going to fill it out over the next 2 weeks and turn it into me for a major grade, okay? So you can see at home, people, as you move down, you'll just fill in the notes. Now, you might want to just listen today and then fill in your notes later. They aren't due until next Friday, okay? So you have plenty of time to go back and do them. At home learners, however I know it's really hard to take notes and listen to lecture right at the same time. I'm going to post the Zoom recording also. So if you want to just listen this time and do your notes later, or if you have 2 screens, if you don't, no big deal. You can go back and fill them in later on, okay? Now, the presentation that we're going to be using for the next 2 weeks is called the Unit 4 Learning Guide presentation, and it looks like this. And remember, guys, it's going to take a while to load because we are in Google, okay? So, online learners, get yourself set up here. In-person learners, I am going to give you a new seat right now because we have some new people joining our class. And I'm going to load this cute little video because it will take a really long time. Okay, online learners, get yourself situated. In-person learners, listen for, I'm just going to turn this off. In-person learners. Is that on my side? Oh, that's the video.
This is the Monterey Bay Aquarium.
That's what we're going to watch in a second. But let me put you in. Hello? Let me put you into your right seats. So these are your new seats for today. Super exciting. And I'm going to start right here. So the numbers are right here, but they don't go in a logical order. So this is number 17. This is going to be Carlos. Carlos, you're just moving. Yes, sir. Take your stuff. This is number 16. This is going to be Alicia Cruz. Not sure. This is number 15. This is going to be Michaela. Michaela Berger, move on up. I tried to move you out a little bit. This is number 14. This is going to be Owen. And then this is number 12. So number 12 is right here. This is going to be Morgan. And number 12, Miss Morgan is virtual today. And then number 20. This is number 20. This is going to be Miss Donnie. Is Donnie in here? She's a new in-person learner. Not here. Okay. 19, 18 is going to be Jose. So 18, we're shuffling from the front to the back here. 19, 18, Jose, you're going to be right here. In you'll notice we have some spaces. If these students end up staying virtual and not coming, they're on my list as in person, then we'll move you guys up a little farther, okay? Right now, I'm just putting anyone that was listed in person in my grade book, giving them a seat, and then we'll move everyone around after that, okay? This is number 7, Faith Taylor, you're right here. And then I have desk number 8, which is Gloria. Oh, okay, then you know what, Gloria? Let's do this. No, Gloria, let me put you, that's not a problem. Let me put you up here. So see behind Carlos, right here? Is that okay? Is that close enough, Gloria? I'll put you there, and then I'll put Alicia here. I'll mix you guys. Okay? Yeah, if you're too far in the back, we can totally keep your seats now, and then we'll see if there's someone absent, you can always move up, because they're not there, so it's fine, okay? This is number 8. Oh, okay, so this was I'm gonna mix Gloria and that's Alicia here, okay. And then I have desk number 9, which is Tanner Kelly. Tanner's gonna be right here, desk number 9. And then I have desk number 10, which is Colt. Colt's not here today. So Morgan, you can move up here to Colt's desk if you want to today. Yeah, and I can actually switch. If it's hard to see back there, I can switch you with Colt. And then this is desk number 11. So this is going to be Caitlin Hernandez. Caitlin? She's not here today. Okay. Okay, number 6. This is going to be Rowdy. Yes, someone's here. And number 5 is going to be Aniston. Number 5. And number 4, this is going to be Emily. Is that desk number 4? And desk number 3. Oh, I don't want to mispronounce your name. Say it again. Gilly. Did I say that right? Okay, this is Gilly Boldo. Desk number 2, this is Devin. Desk number 1, this is Michael. Michael, you got stuck back here by a random draw, but you're in class all the time, so I may shift you up a little more, okay? And then, what's your name? Oh, Gabby, hi, welcome. I don't have you in my in-person, but that's okay. That's not a big deal. And Isabella, I don't have you anywhere? Gosh, what am I doing? Oh, so just bear with me for a second, kids. So for right now, Gabby, you're gonna sit right here, because Gloria is not here, okay? You're gonna sit right here. And then Isabella, you're gonna sit right here, okay? And so I will change my seating chart a little bit too. Again, there's some people that they said they were coming back, but I'm not really sure. So we'll start moving people forward, okay, as people are, as people decide that they're gonna go virtual, right, versus in person. If there's anyone that's sitting in the back, if you can't see, there's a desk up here. You're welcome to come, Isabella or Gabby or Jose, Michael. Can you see back there, Devin? Are you good? Are you sure? Okay. So if anyone's ever absent, again, you can move up here. Because we're 6 feet apart, it's okay, right, if you move to someone else's desk. Got it? Okay. All right, guys. So super exciting time. We are starting a new unit today, right? Let me, oh, geez Louise. Let me just pin this really fast so that way I don't have one. Okay. So again, we're starting a new unit. And for the next 2 weeks, we're going to cover something called taxonomy, classification. You guys are familiar with this. You have learned about this in middle school. Do you guys remember kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species? No. No? Okay, do you guys remember the 6 kingdoms? Like, there's plant kingdom, animal kingdom, protista. So some of this is going to be reviewed for you, okay? And then we'll go into a little more detail. But how the next 2 weeks are going to work, which, we only have 9 more days, thank the Lord. Oh no, we only have 7 more days. This is what I call a learning packet, and you're gonna do this just like you did with your plant one. It's gonna be super easy to get a major grade. Does everybody understand? Yeah? And we're gonna fill this out together a little bit day by day, okay? So to start off the unit, I wanted to talk about or show you an example of why it's important, right? Why do we even need to have a classification system? There are tons and tons of new species being found all the time, whether it's deep down in a volcano or the deep sea trenches, right? That's an area way down deep in the ocean from the submarines and the technology and the cameras. We're constantly finding new animals and new species. And so now, more than ever, it's super important that we have this universal classification system, right? So that way, if I find a new organism, I can communicate with the scientists in Russia or Australia, right? And we can classify using the same language. So this guy is super cute. I'm going to show you a little video. And this is, it was 2015, but it says, isn't this octopus adorabilis, right? Kind of sounds like adorable. He's cute. And you know it takes a minute for my YouTube to start working, because it's, whoop.
This is the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute, also known as MBARI.
MBARI.
Hidden inside is a large cold room with a tiny secret. Dozens of rare octopus eggs have been incubated for over a year and may continue to do so for many more before hatching. The eggs are from this creature, a presently undescribed deep-sea cephalopod with no formal name. Its genus is Epistoteuthis, but aside from that, not much else is known.
Right, so super cute. But what do we classify him as? Right? He kind of looks like a jellyfish, but he has eyes, and he has ears, and he kind of looks like an octopus, but he doesn't have 8 legs, right? Octo means 8. So this is what this lab does too. They find all these new sea creatures, and they try to find a way, how are we going to classify it, right? Are we going to use DNA? Are we going to use physical observations? Are we going to use something called morphology? So that's this lady's job. It's a pretty cool job.
Stephanie Bush of MBARI has the distinct privilege of describing this peculiar octopus.
You're looking at specific morphological features of this species that differentiate it from other species. They're really gelatinous and fragile, and they have relatively large eyes for the size of their body, because they're pretty small. They have a well-developed web between the arms. They'll just spread that web and kind of like parachute along, and they kind of steer themselves with the fins on their mantle. As someone that's describing the species, you get to pick what the specific name is. One of the thoughts I had was making it Epistoteuthis adorabilis. Because they're just, they're really cute.
Despite being undescribed, Epistoteuthis specimens have been collected as far back as 1990.
What I do when I'm taking one of these preserved animals is actually dissect out the digestive system, starting from the beak and down to the stomach and out the other side. And then you do the same thing with the reproductive system. I take out the reproductive system and take pictures of it and then measure the size of the mature eggs. So the reproductive system consists of the ovary, which is full of the eggs, and then the ovary leads to the oviduct, and then the oviduct leads to the oviducal gland. The oviducal gland is what puts the egg case on the egg. Then it goes out into the world.
Preserved specimens provide valuable insight into the octopus's anatomy and behavior, which comes in handy when dealing with live specimens. In early 2014, several Epistoteuthis were collected in the Monterey Bay for research. But keeping an undescribed deep-sea cephalopod alive and healthy while in human care is an arduous task. Luckily, The team at Mbari has some help from Brett Grassi of the Monterey Bay Aquarium.
Our relationship with Mbari is pretty special because we can use their knowledge of these animals out in the wild, and we can use our ingenuity and innovative skills here at the aquarium to accurately mimic their natural environmental conditions. All right, come on, follow me. So up over here, this is behind the scenes where we kept our Pistoteuthis. Notice the nice deep tank, so it gives them a lot of vertical space if they need to swim up and kind of move around a little bit. We also have this nice big red light up here. The reason we choose red is because red light dissipates the fastest in seawater, and so their eyes aren't designed to see that light spectrum. Seawater chillers keep the water temperature extremely cold for our animals, and we're decreasing the oxygen concentration so that we can provide the most comfortable experience for these animals while they're under our care.
It turns out that a Pistoteuthis was so comfortable in this environment that it left a surprise at the bottom of the tank.
Look how cute they are.
The eggs were carefully removed from the exhibit and transported back to Mbari, where they can develop in peace.
It's been at least a year now that they've been developing, and they're not ready yet. It may take 2.5 or 3 years, something like that, for them to be ready to hatch out of the eggs.
This lengthy incubation period is not unheard of for deep-sea animals, but when the eggs finally do hatch, it will be well worth the wait.
These animals are part of the greater ocean ecosystem, and in order to have a healthy, functioning ocean ecosystem, we need to understand the ecology and behavior of the individual species.
For Science Friday, I'm Christian Baker.
Science Friday. Cute, huh? So today, and over the next 2 weeks, we're going to talk about how we classify these organisms, right? And also why it's important to have this universal classification system. So again, if you're online, you're probably in your Unit 4 learning guide. For my people that are here in person, I'm going to start presenting, okay? And so you're going to follow along with your learning guide, just like you did with plants. And I will put, if anyone doesn't have one, go ahead and grab one, please. I will focus the camera on my notes so that way I can kind of show you. I'm not going to write them in here, but I'll show you where it should be. Okay. All right, guys, so you'll see as we go through, there's lots of pictures in here. And we're going to talk about, first of all, how do we classify these organisms? And then we're going to investigate a little further these different types of kingdoms and organisms. Let me zoom this in a little bit, all right? So this idea of being able to classify things, right? Am I a plant? Am I a fungi? Am I a protist? Am I a volvox? Am I a bacterium? Let me check on my, I just saw a chat here. We can't get into the guide. Oh, okay, that's great. Thanks, Morgan, for that. Let me see really fast. Everyone take a little break. And okay. So, Morgan, work with me here. If you are here, Morgan, if you're right here, if you click on the Unit 4 Learning Guide, okay, Unit 4 Learning Guide, when you click on that, it's going to take forever, and then you should see your own Learning 4 Google Doc down here. Can you see that? Let me make sure it's share with everyone. Oh, get link. Links vary. Well, what do you mean links vary? Oh, you need to be able to edit it. Hold on, I think I have fixed it. Hold on. Editor, done. Okay, now Morgan, click on that again and see, I think I've updated it now to share, so you should be able to get into it. Yes? Morgan, Antonio, Alexis? Oh, I can't hear Morgan. I can't hear you, Morgan. Chatty chat? Oh. It says page not found. Oh my geez Louise. Okie dokie. Let's see. All right, kids. Nobody move. Nobody move. This is going to take a while. That's so weird. It must just be for yours. Let me see what it's looking for. Let me see if I can do this really fast. Morgan, let's see if I can share it with you really fast. Just while we're here. While I'm sitting here. Morgan. There you are. All right. Let's see. I have Morgan and Antonio. I'm just going to share it with you really fast. And then who else was on there? Alexis. Anybody else on here? I think that's it. All right. So Morgan, Antonio, and Alexis, I just shared it with you as a Google Doc. I'm not sure why you can't get into it from Schoology. I'll have to go back and investigate that a little more. Okay, but you should be able to edit it now as a Google Doc. Okay. And I'll also post this recording. Okay, so if for some reason something crazy happens with your Google Doc, you can go back and look at it again. Oh, okay, great, thanks. Okay, guys, continuing on. So again, classification, right? So how do we classify these organisms? So let's look at some general information, right? So scientists, and here's where you're going to start. You'll notice that. I'm going to put this here, over here, right? And so you'll notice these notes are a little different than our plant ones, right? There'll be anything that's like red or highlighted on the screen is what you're going to start to fill in on your notes, okay? So reading right here. So scientists have described, they've named a total of about 1.5 million species. Guys, that is just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many species out there that we have yet to discover. And in fact, it is estimated that the total number of species is actually about 10 million, right? And again, that's just a really good guesstimation, right? As technology advances over time, we find new species all the time, right? All the time. So you'll see over here on the right-hand side, right? This is what we call a phylogenetic tree. And this was back way back in probably the early 1600s, right? When we didn't have fancy technology like microscopes and DNA technology and all type of homology software. In the early days, right, back in the day, we attempted to organize animals by grouping and classifying those animals. Right, so you're following along here with your notes. You should be filling in your notes, and you should not be looking at your phone. You should be filling in your notes, and you should not be looking at your phone. If anyone needs a pencil, guys, I have plenty over here also. You're welcome. Yes? It is estimated it is estimated that the total number of species was about 10 million. 10 million. 10 million. So as technology's improved, guys, so have our system of classification, right? So let's take a little tiny peek back in history before we had all this fancy technology, right? How did we group organisms? So for about 3.5 billion years, right? You'll notice it continues on with your notes. Life has constantly been changing. Here's some protists, a little gecko, there's some cool jellyfish there, and we have something called natural selection, right? And so we're going to study natural selection in great detail after we get back from Thanksgiving. But the idea of natural selection is that there are specific genes that are more advantageous in some environments, right, compared to the other. So let's say, for example, I have a white mouse, right, and the mouse has white fur because of his genes, right, or a specific allele. So with that white mouse, if he's in the sand, like white sand somewhere, he's not going to be visible, right, to prey, as opposed to if the mouse, let's say, is like on the dark side of a volcano, right? And so the idea is that the genes that are responsible for the white coating of the mouse are naturally selected for as being advantageous, right, in particular environments. And so we're going to study more about natural selection later. For now, I just wanted to mention it because it definitely ties in when we're studying diversity in classification, right? So now, when we're studying diversity of life, biologists use, and you can see right here, if you continue on, we're still on page 1, right? We're on C. They use a classification system to name organisms, and then we also group them, right? And we're going to practice grouping them ourselves in the next class period using something called phylogenetic trees or cladograms. The definition of taxonomy, right, which is D right here, that's what we're going to be studying the next 2 weeks. Taxonomy is the branch of biology that classifies organisms and assigns each organism a universally acceptable name, right, or accepted name. So you should be writing the definition of taxonomy under D. Devin's here, Robbie's here, he's here, Alicia's not here, Colt's not here, Morgan is online, here, Tony, Caitlin's not here, but Anderson is, so is Tanner, and so is Gabby. Welcome back, Gabby! Gabby's here, welcome, Gabby. And Owen's here, Jose's here, Alexis is online, Bella's here, Faith's here, and Kayla's here. All right, so let's look at a little history, right? Super exciting, but it helps us to appreciate where we are today when we know where we've come from. So early attempts to classify these organisms about 2,000 years ago, right, by our friend Aristotle. So you might remember him from some of your Greek mythology studies, if you had any. And Aristotle first grouped these organisms, right, into 2 groups. So he organized them into something called plants and animals, right? So we've moved down here now. Super simple, right? Just based on observations. He then divided these 3 groups, the animals into these 3 groups. So land dwellers, if they lived on land. We had water dwellers, right, if they lived in the water. And then we also had air dwellers, right, if they spent most of their time in the air. So this was his original group divisions, right? Number 2, A, B, and C right here. So land, water, and air dwellers. And at first, this was a great way to organize things, right? But eventually, I mean, guys, you can see, do all animals only stay on the land? No, they move back and forth, right? They go back and forth from the land to the water. Birds are from the air to the land. So although in a moment in time, it's a great way to classify organisms, we had to come up with a better system than this that was more universal, right? Meaning that however I classified organisms here in Austin, Texas, the scientist in Sydney, Australia was using the same system, right? So we had a universal code that we could communicate with each other. He also divided plants into 3 groups. So he called them, right here, number 3, still on page 1, number 3. He classified them as herbs, right? So small plants that were used in cooking, shrubs, right? Short bushes, and also trees. And again, there was a problem with this. Maybe at first I classified it as a shrub, but then eventually it became a tree, right? Or maybe I thought it was an herb, but then it turned into a shrub, right? So again, this classification system could only be used for a moment in time, right? It couldn't be used for long periods of time, and it wasn't universal, right? Like, what do you consider a shrub versus what do you consider a tree? So it became apparent that we were going to have a more universal system, right? And so moving up here to page 2 and B, right? There were lots of organisms, right, that could be placed into multiple different groups. And there was another issue, right? So look right here. The use of common names were very confusing. So for example, if I had a catfish, a jellyfish, right, number 2, and a shellfish. Well, great, it all says fish, right? But can I really tell the difference just from the name? Is it a catfish, a jellyfish, or, right? They're all labeled as fish, right? But their root words do not indicate what they are, right? So one's a mollusk, one's an echinoderm, and one's an animal, right? Or one's a fish. So they have similar names, but they're totally different morphologies. And there are many new organisms, again, being discovered that needed to be classified, right, in some type of way. So in response to all of these new organisms, we have this guy right here, right? Carlos Linnaeus. This guy's super important. He is kind of the godfather of taxonomy. He developed this initial classification system, right, that we use today. So he set up this system, right, based on structural similarities that were most closely related, right, to their structures. Did they have the same number of arms? Did they have, the same feeding mechanisms, right? And he gave them these scientific names. He then put these larger clusters together, and he called them groups. He called them groups. And then within these groups, he then assigned them a very specific scientific name. And so this was going to be important because if we all use the same scientific name, then we are then going to be able to communicate with any scientist, right? So whether Brownie and I want to talk about Homo sapiens, right, or Devin and I want to talk about Homo sapiens, we're all talking about the same organism, right? So we have the universal language. Do you guys remember, did y'all learn this today? Oh, do you remember what your scientific name is, anyone? Homo sapien is what? What's a Homo sapien? That's us! That's humans! Homo sapien? No? Genus and species? Oh, that's what we're going to learn about. Super excited. So here's our friend, Carlos. And again, he came up with something called this binomial nomenclature, right? Binomial nomenclature. Bi means two, nomial means name. And this is the system of assigning the scientific name that contains two parts. So when he started this classification, right, he first divided all organisms into large groups that he called kingdoms, right? You guys definitely probably remember kingdoms from middle school. So we have the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the bacteria kingdom, what else? The Protista kingdom and the fungi kingdom, right? We're going to investigate these later on. And he based his classifications, again, just on two kingdoms. Because remember back in the day, he definitely didn't know what bacteria was because he couldn't see it. He had no idea what a protista was, right? So his two kingdoms were then further divided into smaller groups called phylums, if you were talking about animals, right, into separate phylums or clusters. And then plants were further organized into something called a division. Further called a division. And then this one's kind of hard to see. I'll read that. So this, number 7, is blocked by my thing, but it says each subset was further divided until he had developed 7 levels. So down here, it should say 7 levels of classification, right? So we started to organize 7 different levels. And so on the next page, you're going to see those 7 levels. It looks like an upside down triangle. So this is the important part. So that's all these over here that you see right here. Domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, right? So we're going to organize them, the largest to the smallest, right? The most organisms to the most specific individual organism, which is your species. And so if you look here, now, don't worry about copying this portion right here. Here's what you should be copying on your upside down triangle. The largest level of organization is a domain, right? That includes archaea, bacteria, and eukarya. Then we have kingdoms, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and last is species. So go ahead and copy those right here, right on your triangle. So I should have domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. And then there's actually a mnemonic that you can use to remember it. I say King Philip came over for good spam or spaghetti or whatever. Oh, just on the top right here if you want. It's just an easy way because you do need to know, you are expected to know, you should be able to list kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. So an easy way to remember it is, again, if you remember King Philip came over for good spam, you can remember largest to smallest, right? And again, these are, notice here guys, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are his 7 levels of organization. This biggest level up here, the domain, which includes all of life, which is the largest, is fairly new. I mean, fairly new, like in the past 10 years. So you'll notice, again, if you're continuing over here, organisms are placed into the same species if they can mate and produce fertile offspring. So again, down here, the smallest level of organization, they have to be able to mate. Homo sapien. Homo is the genus. Sapien is the species. That's us, right? In order to be in the same species, we need to be able to mate, which means not only that you can have offspring, so sons or daughters, but also that any offspring or children that you have are fertile, which means they can also reproduce, and they're healthy, right? And they can live, which viable means. A species contains only one type of organism, right? So it's the most specific. And in this system, the kingdom was the biggest or most broadest. Right? But more recently, scientists have added an additional level above the kingdom called the domain, which is right here. It's kind of, again, it's cut off by my zoom in. Okay. So domain is the largest, species is the smallest. Oh, domain, a domain. It's D-O-M-A-I-N is right here. It's just cut off at the bottom of my notes down here because of my Zoom overlay. All right, one more section, and then we'll take a little break. So the last section we're going to cover today, so we have these levels of organization. Now let's focus just a tiny bit more on this binomial nomenclature, right? So the scientific name contains 2 words. It always contains something called the genus and the species, right? So the genus and the species. So for example, this guy right here, this is Sula noboxi. His genus is Sula. The species is noboxi. This little geese-looking guy, his genus is Branta. His species is Canadensis, right? Genus and species. All scientific names are written in Latin, right? So that way it's understood by all scientists, which is the foundation of the scientific language. The genus name is always capitalized, right? And the species name is never capitalized. So it's always lowercase, where you can see the examples here. The genus is capitalized and the species is not capitalized. The 2 names are always written in italics or underlined. So if you're typing it, you put it in italics. If you're writing it out, the genus and the species, like Homo sapien, you would underline it, right, for that scientific name. And no two organisms can have the same name, right? Again, if they're the same species, but no two organisms can have the same name. Now, page 4 and 5, we're going to practice, but I'm going to save this till tomorrow, right? We're going to practice using this classification system, answer some questions together. But for today, page 1 through 3 is what you should have accomplished. I highly encourage you, if you're scared you're going to lose it, because this is a major grade, I'm picking it up on Friday of next week, I would leave it somewhere in the classroom, in a drawer or something, if you think you're going to lose it. We're going to use this every time when you first come into class for the next 2 weeks, okay? Okay, guys, you can go ahead and take a break. I'm going to give you a 5-minute break. If you need to stretch, go run to the restroom. And then you have a CK12 and an Ed puzzle to complete. We're going to go across to the computer room. Got it? So take a 5-minute break. You need to finish something up, stretch. And then for my online people, let me stop sharing. Okay, so online people, let me show you, we're going to go across the hallway, so let me show you what we're going to do for the remainder of the class period. It'll be about 30 minutes. You have plenty of time to finish. And actually, once you're done, if you've stretched and everything, you can go ahead and pack up and start going over there if you'd like. I'll go over there. I'm going to meet you over there in just a second. Online, hold on one second, guys. Let me see. Let me share this with you again. Yes, you may. Okay, online. Here's what we're doing, right? So if you go to Schoology, and you guys are all familiar with this already, but let me just show you where to find it just to make sure. And I don't know why that Google Doc didn't work, but if you guys got it, I'll try to fix it for you after class today. You'll see them in 2 places, either over here, due on Sunday. We're doing number 1, which is the Ed puzzle, and then number 2, which is CK12. And then underneath our Unit 4 taxonomy, we are in week 1, which is the week of November 10th. And we are on Wednesday, right, November 11th, right here. So we're doing levels of classification. We did the warm-up. We watched the video. We completed the learning guide. We only got through page 3 because it was a lot, I thought, so I cut it short. We'll finish it next time. And then here are your numbered assignments, as usual, the Ed puzzle and the CK12, okay? So you guys are welcome to get off right now and go finish these 2. Unless you have any specific questions, I will ask you guys if you're good to go or if you have any questions, okay? So Morgan, are you good to go on what you need to do for the rest of the period? Oh, what is it? Antonio? Alexis? I think it's like a black. I think maybe I can't hear anything. I think Morgan's trying to talk. I see her like unmuting, but I can't hear anything. Ma, I can't hear you guys if you're talking. I think you're unmuting, but go ahead and throw it in the chat if you're okay, if you're good to go, or if you have a question. I think Morgan's talking. My volume's all the way up. Let me make sure. Okay, I put it on the computer. Oh, I hear something. Is that Morgan? Oh. Oh, I think I hear you, Morgan. Morgan. I feel like I live in like a Zoom, oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, guys, so Morgan, Alexis, and Antonio, I can't hear you. I'm not sure if there's some, have all my thing all the way up. So you guys are going to go complete the CK12 and the Ed puzzle. And then I have to go across the hallway with the students to go watch them over there. And if you have any questions, just shoot me a quick email and I can get back on Zoom. Okay? Just send me a quick message through Schoology. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, oh, now it says my internet connection is unstable, so it might be my internet, to be honest. It keeps going in and out. Okay, guys, so go get busy, and then again, as soon as I get to the computer lab, I'll turn on my Schoology if you have any additional questions. Okay? Okay. Now let me